as I was looking for Genesis chapter 6, verse 3. And Yahweh said, My spirit shall not always strive with men, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Genesis chapter 23, verse 1. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. So she was 127, but 7 and 20 actually, you know what it says right here. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Hebron, actually. This is Hebron. Kirjath Arba. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And even the land of Canaan was named the land of Israel. So that was changed also. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And by the way, here you can see it. I already put it, but I forgot that I put it there, so sorry about that. I should have just read this one in the first place. But anyway, it's all good. It doesn't matter. She died in Hebron, which was the land of Canaan. You see? So, which is in the land of Canaan, sorry. And the land of Canaan is the land of Israel. So Hebron is now in the land of Israel. But you have to understand, these places belong to the giants, the Hamites. You know, different tribes among them were giants. Giant people. You even had Native Americans. Europe's lost race from the land of the big feet, whatever. You had Indianos, you know, Israelites that were also big. You have to understand, if you read the scriptures, you have, this is the land of a lot of the giants. Like, this is the land of Canaan. There were giants here. So the Zuzim, Emim, you had the Ammonites, your Moabites, and stuff like that. That's why until this day, sometimes you see a giant Moabite pop up. Be like, hey, what the? A tall Chinese person? Hey, what? Where's that? That's because they used to make children with these people, and sometimes one of them, their DNA pops back up after a while, and then they get big. And some of them are just like, you know, they have like deformed bodies, meaning, you know, they start crumbling and crippling, and their bones get weaker. That's because the food that they eat are not sufficient enough to actually make them develop good, strong bodies. You know, but anyway, the point of me showing you this is that you had gigantic people back in those days. Why do you think they make, where's that thing? Why do you think they're here? Where's that thing? Whoa, sorry. Why do you think that they make movies like this? As you can see, this guy's foot is as big as these people, bigger than these people, by the way. You have hieroglyphs showing people with like very small, and then you have small people at their feet. That's crazy, man. That's just crazy. But anyway, let me go on. That's another topic. Yeah, so here they met natives. So here you can clearly see that they're natives, but they start to get whiter and whiter, and before you know it, they straight up Caucasian. This is what the devil is doing. That's why we know them to be the devil, snake-tongued demons, because they're liars. Anything greater than them, they can't fucking frame it. So they frame it as an Edomite, but they can't stand it within themselves. They can't frame it in a picture within their head. They can't because they're nothing. So they got to make themselves something by lying. If you got to lie to win an argument, you're already lost. Well, not according to the rest of the world, because they're going to see that lie and believe it as the truth. But you know you're a goddamn liar. But it doesn't matter as long as you win. So the art of war, just win. That's the art of war. You know. Here you got this fucking peasant going to check out skulls and stuff like that, or not skulls, bones and stuff like that, skeletons. Yeah. Anyway. Here again, you have gigantic people. I'm going to put all these links in the description box so you can check them out for yourself. These type of people, later on in life, they start to get troubles, like, you know, retarded type bones and stuff like that. Here you can see him. He can't even stand up straight. You know, he start to walk around with a cane because the food that he got wasn't nutrient enough for him to actually sustain himself. You know, you have Andre the Giant. He doesn't look, you know, he look retarded. You know, I don't use that word often. I almost never use that word, but this is what they look like. Let me just use the word deformed. You know, they look deformed. And then Esau, the reason I'm grabbing this, by the way, is to show you that Esau also has an explanation. He's going to explain in this video why they're big and there's a tumor in their head and all that type of crazy stuff. That's what makes them big. He never credits anything to the Most High, that the Most High made these giants. I could just simply explain to you, like, no, these Moabites, they used to have children with these Ammonites also, and sometimes the genes of these children pop up back in them, because both of this girl's parents were small, and she was 16 years old when she was here, 17. If she had the nutrients, because if you check out the story of her, if she had the nutrients, because she would eat 2 kilos of rice a day, but they were a big family and she couldn't afford to let them other people starve to death. So what was she doing? She was suppressing her appetite. When she was 9 years old, she was already bigger than her father. And of course, she died when she was like 16. Let me see. The tallest Asian girl. Let me see. Yeah, here. At birth, she... No, that's not it. Wow. Crazy. Okay, let me see. I think this was her. Yeah, this is her. But then, 8. Right. So, okay, whatever. But she was eating 2 kilograms of rice a day. That was too much for the family. They couldn't. Age. No, she didn't die at 40. Did she die at 40? No, she didn't. Really? She did? No, not her. Her. This one. She died when she was 16. Oh, how old was she when she died? 16, 17? 17. 17 years old. So, what is this thing that says 40 years? I don't know about that. Who is this actually? Okay. Oh yeah, this must be somebody else then. Well, they look like. Sorry about that. I thought it was the same person, but you're right, it isn't. This one is totally different from this one. Yeah. If I'm correct. Yeah, here. I think here she was 9. Something like that. Or something like that. I think she was 9 or something. I don't know. Like I saw the documentary. Is it the same? I don't even know. Because it says that she died when she was 17, and then this one lived till she was 40 years old. I don't know. I think it's 2 different people, man. Yeah, it is 2 different people. Oh yeah, she died in 2012. Right. So okay. I thought I was seeing double here. Actually, I was seeing double, but I still thought they were 2 different people, and they are right. But anyway, the nutrients. She couldn't sustain herself, and her bones got weaker because she couldn't. These other people had to eat. They didn't have food for her, and then I think the government trying to step in, but it was too late. She died. She was getting too weak. And with this one also, or maybe I'm getting the stories confused, but still, this one ate too much also, and she couldn't sustain. The body couldn't really develop really. The bones couldn't really develop and stuff like that because she was malnourished, and she started to get weak and needed assistance. But the point is of me talking about this is that Esau is going to try. See here, Esau is going to try and say like, oh, it's a malfunction. We know, no, the Heavenly Father made these things, these giants. He made everything. So You can blame it on some kind of thing here. Okay, so they say that these giants have tumors and stuff like that. When you look at them, you'd be like, well, you kind of do look deformed, you know. You do look kind of messed up. Well, not normal. Let's just say you don't look normal. But then again, are you gonna say that these females are have tumors also? Which is this Jake woman over here, Madam Aboma. Aboma in Suriname is actually a giant snake. So it's funny that she was called that, Aboma. Funny. I find it funny. You know, it's so-called coincidence, coincidental, or something like that. Right, and of course they have a walking around little Edomite baby. Of course, funny as hell. But still, she was big, and she didn't look deformed, and neither does this one look deformed, and she's big. She's very big actually. Neither look this one deformed. No, that's herself. That's her too. This is her length, you know, and yeah, this is her too on Facebook. I don't need to pull that. And these females, this one looks like she about to break, but this one looks kind of messed up, but she doesn't. She looks like a normal female. Look at her. Look at the face. She doesn't look like any deformity is going on with her, right? I already showed that. No deformity is going on with her. You can check it up for yourself, by the way. And there's many tall females. Of course, she puts her face like that, like a, you know, like she's deformed. But yeah, she's not normally deformed. When you look at her, her whole build, she looks like a regular Edomite, but just very tall. You know, this guy is like that. But often they wear high heels, so it makes them even taller. But that doesn't take away from the fact that she's tall. But when you have people like this, it looks photoshopped. Well, it is photoshopped if I'm correct. Yeah, it's photoshopped. Yeah, whatever. But you do have this female, this Asian person here, being that tall, as you can see here. And you ask yourself, how did this go? Well, if you read the scriptures, they had children with them Hamites, and after a few generations, hundreds of generations, they might pop back up. But sometimes these Edomites are going to blame it on a tumor. But with females like this, they say nothing about a tumor. They say nothing about a tumor. Nothing. That shows you that the devil again is biased. Also, she doesn't have a tumor, but the other ones have. Well, I'm not taking away from the other ones, because they are, you know, their bones is getting messed up and all that type of crazy stuff. But this one, she walks up straight. She doesn't need a cane. And there's many more of them. Look at the NBA. All the giant jakes. Big jakes. You know, they don't need a cane. You know, so it's not all the time a tumor. But these Edomites will make it come over as if it is some kind of fault in their system or a flaw in their design. Sometimes it is with the tumor thing, and in this case it isn't. It's just how the Heavenly Father created them. But leave it to the Edomite to bring doubt unto you, because that's what they do. They're here to bring doubt. Just like how you had Yahushua with Peter on the water when he started to doubt. Guess what happened? He started to sink. O ye of little doubt, of little faith, sorry, which is then therefore doubt. And with doubt, you're not going to make it into the kingdom. And Esau is a bringer of doubt. He is the bringer of making you question yourself. Like, is this real? Or is he telling the truth or not? That's Esau. That's his job. So it says, on average, they apparently live to 120 years of age, a feat attributed to their water source. You see? All of a sudden, so nobody in that whole region had access to their water supply. And therefore, because their water supply contained some kind of miracle growth hormone, all of a sudden, they're these big people and beautiful people. Really? Well, I want to drink that water too then. As a matter of fact, anybody in the planet Earth at that time could have drunk their water, because At nighttime, for example, you just sneak in and grab water and then drink of it, because it was not coming out of the faucet, so it wasn't in their houses. It was a river, most likely, right? Right? Not most likely, 100% was. Or a well, right? There was no piping, stuff like that. Iron in the ground, disrupting the ground, by the way, because inside of water pipes. I don't know how you spell it. Corrosion? Sion? Whatever. Go. Let's go. Inside corrosion. Okay. Inside water pipes. This is how it looks. This wasn't in ancient Egypt. These things. Because this doesn't look pleasant to me to drink out of. If you don't see it, you don't know, right? So yeah. If you know, you think twice drinking that water out of the faucet. You kind of think twice. You'd be like, I don't think it's good for me to be drinking that shit, man. Look, this. Oh no. You look at this right here, right? Oh god damn! Look at this shit. Oh damn! Oh shit! Right? And then imagine eating this. Can you imagine eating this flesh? You know, you have deer. Esau got a new disease going on, spreading on these animals, and they have these boils on their face. I can't get good pictures with boils on. They got boils on their body and stuff like that. Boils. You know, these are the things that they're letting loose on these animals. Would you eat this meat? Would you? Would you want to eat that meat? You see what I'm saying? If you see a chicken with boils like this, would you eat it? Would you want to eat it? Well, how come you want to drink that thing out of the faucet? Well, how come you want to drink that? But this is the messed up part. Where else you gonna get your water? You don't know what they do with the water even in the store. So see, that's why we need to be saved by Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, man. You know what I'm saying? We need to be saved by the Lord, because this is literally what you're eating and drinking. I'm not saying that the chicken looks like. I'm not saying that we eat deer. That's what I'm not saying. But you don't know what the chicken looks like. Have you seen pictures of these chicken that you eat? And these other meats that you eat? Have you seen them? You don't know. You're just eating. Anyway, a feat attributed. So the fact that they can live long and or tall and stuff like that is a feat attributed to their water source. That's why they live that long, and that's why they get that tall and stuff like that. And about the tall, I have another video which shows you that Esau is trying to explain the length of the people in South Sudan, which are the Dinka tribe, and a bunch of other tall people over there too. The Tutsis are tall too, but they say that it's their diet, that makes them that tall. These Edomites are trying to disprove everything and anything of the Heavenly Father. That's what they're doing. That's what they created for. It was given unto them to deceive the world. You shouldn't be deceived by them. You should remember their history. When you remember their history, you would know, like, fuck these people. Don't trust them. Always be wary. They're liars. Just remember their history. Then you will be naturally not trusting of them. But if you don't, and they teach you this garbage, all love for everybody, meanwhile they're racist against you, especially in the corporate, in the businesses and stuff like that, and in the construction works, they're racist as shit. But then again, you should love them, right? You're stupid. You should always be on your guard. Always be aware of your surroundings. You're surrounded by wolves, and you're a sheep. You're an Israelite, right? Okay, you're a sheep. Once that time comes, we're going to be lions, wolves, and they're going to be sheep. And that's about the time we finna get to Eden. But for now, we're being devoured on left and right, front and back, circled, 360. Now it says, a feat attributed, according to you, devils, to their water source which oddly smells like violets and gave off a sheen like oil. Right, so it's the water that made them live long. Well, if you give people that water that I just showed you from out of those pipes, of course you're gonna die young. Have you seen the water in Flint, Michigan? Look like sewer water. But then again, even if the water is clear, do you know that we drink sewer water? Did you know that? All the vagina blood, the puke, a lot of people, especially when they're young, they go to parties, come home, puke in the toilet, take a shit, diarrhea, anything and everything goes down the toilet. And it comes back to your faucet. So here, have a drink. That's what they're doing to you. Of course you're going to die young. You're drinking dead water. It doesn't have any nutrients in it. No oxygen. That's like eating GMO and then still feeling hungry. Have you ever ate a bread and you know your stomach is full? You know you can't prop no more in your stomach. And still you have this hunger. That's because the food that you just gobbled up isn't real food. It's just stuffing yourself like a turkey, but the turkey doesn't eat. Even if you stuff a turkey, right? Did the turkey eat? You put it in its belly, right? Or in its stomach, whatever. You put it inside of him. That's the point. Is he full? Or is he dead? He's dead, and the food is going to be... Come on, man. The food is not... It's not... It filled them up, but... That's the water that you're drinking, and that's the food that you're eating. It's not food. That's why you're still hungry. That's why you become fat. Because, yeah, you need more. You don't have the energy. Did you know that if you eat like vegetables and fruit, you need to wash it off real good because some pesticides are on it, but still. Fruit that is not GMO or that is not manufactured and stuff like that, worked with. If you eat that in the middle of the day, like 12 o'clock or something, you don't need to eat in the morning. That's just garbage. But then at 12 o'clock, you break your fast, breakfast, you break your fast, and then you eat. Did you know that like 8 hours later, you're still not hungry? You should try that. You know, you can live off of a few meals a day if it's fruit and vegetables, and you can put aside a fish or other type of meat, but then try not to eat too much. Why? I'm not pushing this vegan shit on you. That's why I told you eat meat also, but you need to understand that the meat you're eating, that thing is not healthy, man. It's not real healthy meat. Normal meat, which the Heavenly Father gave you, that's healthy. But the ones that they inject some sort of water. Don't you think that you're eating this? What are chickens injected with to make them bigger? They say salt water. Yeah. They do something to make the chicken look bigger. What if? Oh, mistyped it. Right, I'm gonna put the link in the description box so you can check it out for yourself, of course. Here, you can see how this guy is gonna make the chicken bigger. Wait, let me click on it. You see, he's pumping it up. Pump it up. You see that water thing? You should put the Joe Budden theme here. Pump it up. Check out that leg just popped up. Check out the leg. Popped up from how fat it is. And then he finna put it in the thing over there, and then they're gonna wrap it up in some plastic and they're gonna sell it to you. If you get if you get diseases from this, don't think it's the chicken, because that's not trying to kill you. He's trying to kill you. And up to the next. It's all about money. And the scripture says about, this is what the Heavenly Father said about merchant. The book of Sirach 26 and 29. A merchant shall hardly keep himself from doing wrong, and a huckster shall not be freed from sin. A huckster is this: a person who sells small items door to door, whatever, but that's not specifically. It's basically a hustler. Haggle is a huckster, a hustler. Here, in the sense of retained hawker, he's like a fucking hawk. Let me see. Retailer at a stall, hawker. It's like a goddamn hawk swooping down and, man, you know, doing shit. That's what they're doing most of the time. Doing a lot of shit. Right? He shall not be free from sin. Why? They're fucking you over, man. That's what they're doing. And a merchant shall hardly keep himself from doing wrong. You think this is doing wrong? You think? Don't you know you're gonna eat that? That thing that he's. Well, what the fuck is that? What is that? And you people, you want to live in this. You want to stay here, being fed. You want to be housed. You want to be clothed. You want to be told what to do, told where to stand, told where to live. How come they can just pick out places where to live and we can't? That's because you don't have no power. They do. Don't you want that power? You shouldn't try to compete with them. You're trying to knock them off their chair and put them under your foot where they belong. That's your mentality. Well, that's what you should be thinking. Or else they're going to feed you this shit. Red bugs. That's what they feed you, by the way. Red dye. You see those red bugs over there? Economic acid is extracted from the female insect and is treated to produce carmine, which can yield shades of red such as crimson and scarlet. So what is it? It's this. It's crushed beetles. That's what it is. The true nature of Skittles candy is made out of bugs? Yes. Scientists make red food dye from potatoes, not bugs. Blah, blah, blah. I see it right here in front of me, man. You see, that's why you gotta watch out for the devil. You have to know these things, man. They coming up with, things like this. Really, potatoes? I would love to see those red potatoes, man. There are red potatoes, but anyway. You could make them from beets. But they don't take beets. Why would they take beets? They want to poison you. They want to give you this. This. This is made from this. Crushed up these things. Little bugs. Why you may be eating insects your whole life? Oh, well, according to National Geographic Channel, it's made from potatoes. Even though they put a bug right in front of you to you know what bug that is? That's this bug. Okay, see, you playing around, man. You really think that these Edomites are good people? They're lying to you, man. They always have been lying to you. They even lying to their own race. That's what they do, lying. I wanted to talk about this, but I see it's like an hour and 24, so it looked like I'm talking about a lot of useless stuff. But anyway, let me read this on, then I'll stop it. So it says, furthermore, the Ethiopians were unimaginably wealthy because they were merchants, as it is written right here. They were merchants. And the merchandise of Ethiopia, they had a lot of labor going on, a lot of work, a lot of things that they was doing, these Hamites. There was 7 nations. Let me read it. Deuteronomy 7:1. When Yahweh thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and it had cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. So they was greater and mightier than the Israelites. We still beat them. But still, they were greater and mightier than us because there was already a fully established nation by that time. Even Abraham went into Egypt because Egypt was great, and that was before the children of Israel even existed. Egypt was already great back then. That was the Egypt before that. And then 400 years later, guess what? Egypt was still great. That's when the children of Israel were in captivity under the Egyptians. And before that, you had Babylon, who was also great. And who made Babylon? Cush, Nimrod, which is from the tribe of Cush. Genesis 10. I think I clicked it away. Genesis chapter 10, verse 8. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. I just showed you stabbing a lion, grabbing it by the neck. Which one of you can grab a lion by the neck and hold him off? Like, and then stab him in the... I wish you would try. See if you're really tough. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, which is Babylon, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. And what is the land of Shinar? Mesopotamia. Here, Babylon. Shinar. What is Shinar called today? Babylonia. And what is Babylonia called today? Iraq. Which them Arabs went into there also. So you have the Edomites, they steal from us. And you have the Arabs, they steal from the Hamites. So once that time comes, we're going to put them Hamites over you Arabs. And then everybody's going to be under us anyway. But Esau, you going to get messed up. Shinar, Babylon. Here, Shinar, which is the land of Babylon. Which is the land that Nimrod forged. Which is here in the Middle East. Nowadays it's called Mesopotamia. And here was the Chaldeans also. The Chaldeans, which were a bunch of powerful witches. Right. So, going back to over here. Unimaginably wealthy. Unimaginably wealthy. Right. The spies supposedly saw that the location... Oh, what the? Sorry. That the local prison chains were constructed of gold, from gold. And dead Ethiopians were buried in clear crystal coffins. To top it off, when the spies, posing as diplomats, gave a gift of Persian luxuries to the king of Ethiopia, the king was blatantly unimpressed with what the Persians had to offer. But they were Edomites. He even had the gall, but you have to understand, some of them Persians, they hired other nations in their army. Going on. He even had the gall to warn Cambyses against invading Ethiopia. No, wait a minute. The Cambyses were the Persians. Yeah. Sorry. Those were not Edomites. Sorry, I was thinking like, wait a minute. Let's see here. Persians. Cambyses second of Persia. He was a Elam. Sorry. Going on. Now it says, surprisingly, of all that the spies supposedly found in Ethiopia, the most mundane of them all was the answer to the mystery of the table of the sun. The spies discovered that Ethiopian magistrates, which were so-called the ones that apply the law and stuff like that, officers, boiled meat each night and laid out all the food in the field before the first light of the morning. So there goes your so-called myth that he was feeding people. Where it is, let me see here. Some kind of idol was feeding people and stuff like that. It was the people themselves. And you can read about it in the book of Daniel, where they tried to mislead the king into making him think that his idol was actually eating the food that he was sacrificing unto it. And then therefore he found out that it was the priest and his children and his wife and their wives, the priests, their children and their wives, and then he killed them all. But that shows you that they're lying to you also. There's a lot of liars in the history of history itself. You know, even the Israelites were goddamn liars too. That's one of the reasons why we got destroyed. But now we're coming back, because not all of us was doing that, but still all of us got punished. So you might say nowadays, well, not all of the Edomites were down with slavery. Yeah, but they're still gonna pay because of their nation. I mean, he that is not with me is against me, right? Sometimes you see them protesting with us against their own. Well, that's the reason why they want to kill you too. But it's good, you know. We will see what will happen to you. You're an Edomite, so you're going down anyway. You know, hey, we might make you taskmasters. You're gonna be the new house hunkies. You know, you're gonna beat them up. You're gonna whip their ass, and you're gonna say, when the master has something, we have something, right? Yeah, we're gonna turn you Edomites into some real bootlickers, you know, and then we're gonna give you whips, and you're gonna whip the rest of your nation as a house honky, a house devil, house cracker, however you want to call yourself, you know, the new house niggas. Right. So it said here, let me see. The spies discovered, okay, and laid out all the food in the field, okay. According to Herodotus, when Cambyses heard of Ethiopia's wealth and cockiness, he immediately set out on an invasion. He pressed out from Egypt toward Libya, but ran into trouble when he reached the Siwa Oasis, near the modern border between Egypt and Libya. Apparently, logistical problems led to famine in Cambyses' army and alleged cannibalism. So they was eating themselves because they didn't have a lot of food, ultimately causing the Persians to abandon their campaign against Ethiopia, written by this dude over here. And the sources that he got is from here, but I'm gonna leave the link in the description box so you can check it out for yourself. And of course, you had, like I said, you had places here, because I just read about ancient Greek, right, their history, and then you had certain of the legends, so-called legends, that they mention in their movies and cartoons and stuff like that, even their games. But those are Israelites also. 2nd Maccabees chapter 4 verse 19. This ungracious Jason was an Israelite. If you read the chapter, you will find out. Sent special messengers from Jerusalem, who were Antiochians, followers of Antiochus Epiphanes, to carry 300 drachms of silver to the sacrifice of Hercules, which even the bearers thereof thought fit not to bestow upon the sacrifice, because it was not convenient, but to be reserved for other charges. So even the heathens thought this house Negro was just being, he was being a demon, man. They was like, you gonna give all this money to sacrifice for Hercules, even though we have other charges that we need the money for? What? This, even the heathen was disgusted. This guy, like, what the fuck, man? Sorry. Now, the book of, verse 20. This money then, in regard of the sender, was appointed to Hercules' sacrifice. But because of the bearers thereof, it was employed to the making of galleys. So they still took the money and was like, fuck that shit, man. I'm not going to give Hercules. Are you mad, man? I'm not doing that. You know, but yeah, Hercules is mentioned in the Bible 2 times. But then, yeah. So he was from here. Hercules was an Israelite. We know that. Just like Samson. So it's not far-fetched. But, of course, they would attribute him to a Hamitic, so-called god, idol, whatever they call themselves. They would attribute him to be that, but we know, like, no, Hercules is an Israelite. But, yeah, so with that, I think I'm done. I'm going to put all these links in the description box so you can check it out for yourself. Yeah, let me show this dude here. Yeah, when you look at her, she doesn't look like she's deformed, neither does she look like she has some sort of tumor in her head or whatever. She's just big. Very big, actually. And this is her face. If you was to look at her, you'd be like, oh, it's just a regular chick, until you see her stand next to her boyfriend or next to a normal person. That's this person is that name. Put that name there. Then I thought about her. And I already know her. This female over here. I already did a few videos about her or something. But I forgot about her, and then I read it here, and I was like, oh yeah, let me show that too. She used to play basketball. Sucks. Oh no, maybe it was volleyball. I don't know, volleyball or basketball. Oh shit, it was basketball. Oh sorry, okay, cool. Right. So yeah, hey. Right, what is this? Oh yeah, they're trying to disprove that the Heavenly Father is the one that parted the sea. They're trying to explain to you that it was a natural phenomenon. Yeah. Something natural dried up the sea. Because it says they went on dry ground. Which natural phenomenon can make you walk on dry land after it parted the water from there? Exodus chapter 14 verse 22. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground. See, it's written diagonal. And the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. There's another verse, verse 29. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land, in case you missed it the first time, in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. In case you missed it. Here, verse 16. Exodus chapter 14, verse 16. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. In case you missed it. In case you missed it. Joshua chapter 3, verse 17. And the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of Jordan. On dry ground. In the river Jordan is talking about, my man. And all the Israelites passed over on dry ground until all passed clean over Jordan. In case you missed it. So you can read about this here. In the book of Joshua chapter 3. And just in case you missed it. That it specifically says dry ground. And if I'm correct, it was 15 too, yeah. I was looking at it here. Exodus 14 and 15. And Yahweh said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. Oh yeah, on dry ground. Yeah, it says verse 16. Let me see, 18 too? Nah, it's the ones above here. These. Right. In case you missed it. So their explanation is just funny. It's just funny. Because that's what they do. They lie to you. And with their so-called technology that is falsely called science, they actually do fool you. Because the majority of the people are literally fooled because of their so-called miracles that they can do. For example, with a picture is 1,000 words. So when you see stupid pictures like this, you'll be like, oh yeah, I understand. It's very well explained. It's very good. Yeah, I believe these people. Now, Delta. Every fucking thing is Delta with them. Delta is a Greek word. Or Roman. What is Delta? It's Greek. is the fourth letter. Everything is delta with them. The delta cocoa virus, feeding C19, whatever. Everything is delta with them. The delta version. Yep, everything is delta. Everything is delta with them, man. A delta this and delta this, that this. Until this day, they teaching you Roman numerals. Until this day, they want to teach you this garbage. I'm not learning this, man. Even in school, I didn't learn this because I hated it. It's stupid. The only reason I remember a few of them is because of, for example, Rambo 1, and then came Rambo 2. So I remember that here, Rambo 2, and then came Rambo 3. That is the only way I've ever used these things, man. Rambo 3. Okay? That's the only way I used it. This is the only way you can make me remember it. Other than that, I don't know. I have no idea. I think I can count till 8 or wait, 1 till 4. Yeah, till 10. I can count till 10. Other than that, I'm and even then with the 7 and the 8 and the 6 and the 4, I struggle. But that's good. I'm not supposed to remember your shit. It's garbage. That's why I call it feces. I'm not supposed to remember your feces. I'm supposed to remember my holy goodness, which is from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's what I'm supposed to remember. So let me leave it with that. Malachi chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, which is us, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to get back to the ways of our ancestors. That's what I'm trying to do. To learn their ways, not Esau's ways. Fuck Esau. I don't want to learn your ways. You forced it upon us. But once that time comes, we're going to force ours upon you, saith the Lord. And the rest of the world. Don't think this is just about Esau. This is about all of you bastards. The things that you have done to our people, you're going to pay too. Isaiah chapter 2 verse 3. And many people shall go and say, Come, ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. Yeah, you're going to learn our ways. And we will walk in his paths. So just like how everybody is walking in the path of flying bunnies, flying reindeers from the North Pole, and bunnies that lay eggs, little, what do you call those things? Chocolate eggs and stuff like that. You know, those bunnies. Everybody is celebrating it. So guess what? You're going to follow our ways now once that power comes. Once we get that power from Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, you're going to follow our ways. Because I know even in the Middle East, you have people celebrating Christmas, man. You have people in the six festival tradition as well. You have people in the Middle East. You know, you have here. There's bullshit over here. You know he can't do it all over the place, and this is Israel. But they can't do it all over the place, because certain places they will string you up. Ethiopia. They also have a whole Christian thing going over there. So where they celebrate this shit over here. As you can see, a Caucasian female. These Ethiopians are doing that nowadays. You know, these are the so-called modern day Ethiopians. But the ones in the forest and the mountains, they don't do that shit. They don't do that. You know, they don't do that. But still, these Ethiopians, you know, they cater to the Edomite Christians and stuff like that. When you look at this guy look like an Israelite, man. Some of them Ethiopians really look like us, especially Eritrea. Eritrean people. Yeah, some of them look like us. Of course, some of them look mixed up. If you was to see her, you probably think, oh, her mother is an Edomite, the father is a Jake. Actually, it's not true. You know, It's not true. She's just pure Ethiopian, if I'm correct. Cause she has an Edomite husband, by the way. I looked her up, so I already know what's gonna happen to her children. So yeah, but like I said, some of them look like us, and a lot of them do not. A lot of them do not look like us. You know, so yeah. Like I said, I looked her up, and she has an Edomite husband, but I didn't really look at her father and her mother. So I could be wrong with what I'm saying, but I have seen Ethiopian females like this. I mean, I live in Netherlands, so I live in the Netherlands, so I see them. Some of them really look like us. They come to the camp sometimes, and sometimes they even fool me, because the first thing I'm telling is, hey, ain't you from Syria? I'm saying, no, I'm from Eritrea. I'm like, what? Really? You don't look like you from there. Look at Bill Gates. You know, so when you see these statues of these Hamitic pharaohs and stuff like that, not just pharaohs, but just statues, and then they look so-called Caucasian, and then those are the pictures that they commercially push in the world, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are Edomites, because you have people like them that actually do look like Edomites, you know, sometimes. Okay, this is just garbage. Right. Right. But yeah, I can't really find a picture right now which shows you that they they are women here. Look at this. Doesn't she look like a slave descendant mixed with an Edomite? Looks like one. Maybe looks like a Dominican. You know, look like a little bit like a Dominican. You know, like I said, if you see, we're here again. Look like one of us again, like from South America. Look like from South America. Look like one of them Latin tribes, a little bit. You know, you have plenty. This obviously doesn't look like us. Obviously, you know, they have a lot of them have this face. This is Somalian. It looked like a Somalian, because Eritrea women, they look like this. Of course, her hair is straightened, which is then therefore fake, because she has curls. Because I remember this female. I looked her up a few times. This one looked like a coolie, because they have that type of hair also. You know, if you look at her, you'd be like, well, she looks like a so-called Negro woman, almost a little bit, but the eyes still give her away. Yeah. You can look up these pictures for yourself, man, if you have the time, of course. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Wait, let me see what is that. Yeah, today. Look here. Look from South America, man. I've seen people like this in South America. They look like that. But these are from Eritrea. She looks again like a little bit like Suriname people. Well, not people, but I've seen girls looking like her in Suriname, which is South America again, you know. So yeah, we do look a few times. We do look like them, you know. Well, look at this here. He doesn't have the curly hair like them. Some of them have straight hair, by the way. Some of them got curly hair like this. Some of them got little puffed up afros like this. You know, even they're females here, as you can see. So you have different strains of hair over there, but none of them is straight like this. This is just fake. But this one, this is real. This is real, and yeah, this is real too. No, sorry. This like this over here, and this is real. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna say shalom. So don't believe these devils, man. Don't believe them. You know, because our things they call myths, and their things they're not even talking about that. You know, look. But like I said, when you analyze them, when you look at them real long, you're gonna kind of see, them. You know, you're not really gonna see yourself. Sorry, let me say it better. You're gonna be able to distinguish yourself from them if you stare at them. You know, but some of them still look like us, but only their hair would be then different a lot of times. Yeah, so with that, I'm gonna say shalom.